Hey everyone, Bruce Eckfeldt here. So wanted to talk about management skills and 4 challenges, 4 traps that a lot of managers fall into. If you want to learn more, stay tuned. Hey everyone, so I'm a strategic leadership coach, so I work with companies on how to grow and scale their business, develop high-performance leadership teams, really clear strategies. One of the things I do is work with companies around management skills. One of the kind of principles I have is in order to scale the business, you have to scale leadership, you have to scale management, so really leveling up leaders at all levels of the business if we're going to scale the company. So wanted to talk a little bit about some of the traps that typically I find that managers fall into and some of the ways that they get out of them. This is really some tips and tricks on how to be a better leader and really how to avoid some problems that typically come up, and hopefully you can move through them more quickly and hopefully get to high level performance faster. So the first thing that I find is perspective. I find a challenge that a lot of managers have is that they don't really understand another person's, whether it's a direct report or a colleague's, their perspective very well. They kind of assume that their view of the situation, their view of the problem is the only one, or at least the most valid one. And so a lot of what I do with leaders that are really kind of looking to grow and scale themselves is to help them develop the ability to have a better perspective, be more empathetic, really kind of step into the other person's shoes. And it does 2 things. One is it really helps them see new information and new ideas. They may not see a particular aspect of a challenge or why something is being an issue because they're seeing it from one way until they really take the effort and the opportunity to kind of step into someone's shoes and say, oh, like I get it. If you're in this situation, that might be more of a challenge. Let's figure out how to deal with that. 2 is it creates empathy, right? It helps the people that you're working with feel like you actually care and understand about their situation. So that's going to go a long way in terms of actually getting people to make changes, to collaborate, to actually invest in trying to do different things, trying different strategies. So really check your perspective. Are you kind of assuming that the right way is the way that you see it, or maybe that this is the only way you're seeing? Are you really making an effort to kind of empathize and understand another person's point of view, and maybe see what other options might be available when you take that other point of view? So the second challenge I find a lot of is communication. And this is, a classic challenge at all levels of management, but certainly as we grow and scale the business, how you communicate, when you communicate, the methods you communicate by is becoming more and more important. The complexity of the organization is going to increase. The structure of the company is going to be increased. You're going to create more levels. Being good about really evaluating your communication strategies and techniques, and being aware of like what might have worked very well in the past is not working now, and you need to develop a different mode. Experimenting with that, trying that, and developing a broad toolbox. This is something I do with a lot of management skills, is just increasing the tools, the options that you have, the strategies that you have, and figuring out what strategy is going to be most appropriate in this situation. And having options gives you choices, right? If you don't have any options, you're kind of a one-trick pony. It may work well in some cases, but it's not going to work well in a lot of cases, and you have to have options. So being really aware of how you typically communicate and what are the differences. This can be even things like where you communicate, how do you start communication? Are you very kind of structured and objective about it? Are you more relational about it? Understanding what the situation is, who the person you're talking to is, what might work differently for different people. Figuring out how to customize communications is really important. So communication is another big one, and it's really about growing an understanding of how your communication strategies naturally are. What do you need to do differently, and what might work in different situations better? So the third thing I find is a challenge for a lot of managers is being consistent. And this could be both around the structure of meetings and communications, could be the messages that you're sending out. And I find that consistency is really important in leadership. It helps build trust. It helps build familiarity. Knowing that you can count on someone delivering something on a regular period of time is important. One of the things I do a lot of is help CEOs and how they communicate out to their company. And I have another article on this, but I do a weekly letter from the CEO or announcement from the CEO. And it's the same structure every time. And a lot of what we're doing here, even if there's not a whole lot of new information, we want to establish this every Friday at 10 o'clock. This comes out. People will trust people who are consistent, right? So if you say you're going to do something, do something. And if you have a pattern of doing something, if you can just establish that pattern, that helps build trust. It helps people count on the fact that they can count on the fact that they're gonna see some kind of communication, they're gonna see some kind of behavior. The other one is consistency in communication in terms of what do you want, objectives, expectations. If you're one day saying X, you want X, and another day you're saying Y, that's not going to build trust. It's going to be very difficult for people to rely upon you. If you can make sure that you're being super consistent on what your expectations are, how you're communicating them, what success criteria are, being consistent will build trust. And so think about that in all areas. If you're not being consistent, figure out why. How can you be more consistent? And how can you really build that trust with people really throughout the organization? So the fourth challenge I typically run into with leaders when we're talking about management skills is what I call attribution. And it's something called the fundamental attribution error. And in summary, it goes like this, that people are likely to explain their own shortcomings by externalities and other people's shortcomings by internal character flaws, basically. So if I'm late to a meeting, I'm late to a meeting because there was lots of traffic. If someone else is late to a meeting, I tend to assume like, well, they didn't leave enough time for traffic. So I really kind of check people's thinkings when we have issues of expectations and consistency and delivery. I really want to check in with leaders and saying, how are you thinking about the story behind those results? And are you excusing yourself because of externalities, and are you essentially blaming other people because of their lack of their internal character? And if that's the case, that's a fundamental attribution error, and we need to do whatever we can to reverse that. I encourage a radical accountability for yourself, meaning that every situation you take 100% responsibility of the outcome, even if there are externalities. That taking 100% accountability of the situation gives you power, gives you options. And the flip side is when you're working with someone else, appreciate that there are externalities and helping them understand what those externalities are, and then helping them develop some skills and some capabilities and strategies to be able to manage those so they can still meet their commitments. But if you're approaching the situation that everything that your shortcomings are externalities and everyone else's internal counter flaws, you're going to have some challenges, and it's not going to go well. You're not going to build the kind of the trust and rapport that you need to really create change, both in yourself and others. So think about that one, fundamental attribution error. How are you approaching this? What do you need to change? So those are some of the challenges that I find in helping leaders with management skills. If you want to learn more, I can send you this one page of the article. I'll put the link down below. You can always email me at bruce@eckfeldt.com. If you want to learn more about the leadership training and coaching that I do, email me. You can also check my website, eckfeldt.com. My leadership program is called Leadership 360. It's a full multi-rater review process, coaching process. You can get that online, eckfeldt.com/leadership360. And you can find out more. We'd love to talk to you. Hopefully, these are some helpful hints that will help you grow and scale your business a little faster and hopefully with a little less drama.